You might feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to get closer to someone who seems emotionally far away. It can be incredibly confusing when you love someone who pulls back the moment things become meaningful. But here's the truth: avoidance isn't a lack of feelings. It's a fear of them. Deep down, that heart still wants to feel safe, it still wants to feel chosen. The spark is still there. To light it up again, you don't beg, chase, or convince. You create an environment where their heart can naturally open again. One that feels secure, calm, and emotionally honest. Make space for your own emotional needs first. When you become grounded in your own worth, your energy changes. And that shift is powerful. Stop reacting to their distance with anxiety. Instead, respond with consistency. Be the example of the emotional safety they secretly crave. When you stop trying to fix them and start centering your own peace, you actually give them the very thing they need. Space that feels healthy and loving, not pressured and demanding. That's how desire is reignited. It's not about doing more, it's about creating more emotional clarity. Speak truth gently. Instead of making accusations or asking, "Why don't you love me more?" say, "I feel close to you." when we communicate openly. This is not pleading. This is inviting. Avoidants lean into invitations, not ultimatums. Show them what emotional closeness looks like by living it yourself, being honest, being present, respecting boundaries, and remaining open. Slowly, they begin to feel safe stepping into that space with you. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent actions over dramatic gestures. A happy tone when they call. A thank you when they show up. Restoring calm instead of escalating conflict. Those are the moments that retrain their nervous system to see love as safe, not threatening. Let them experience the light in you: joy, confidence, patience. That light is what draws them back toward connection. Desire is not created with pressure, it's created with inspiration. You inspire an avoidant to desire again when you become a calm, emotionally consistent presence in their life. When you remember that you're not begging for love, you're inviting it. And when you stand firmly in your own worth, their heart begins to realize that it's safe to open. And more importantly, worth it. When someone is emotionally avoidant, the reflex from the other side is often to get louder. You try to express your feelings more clearly, send longer messages, ask deeper questions, and push harder for connection. But where you think you're showing love, they feel pressure. Their nervous system interprets emotional intensity as a sign of threat, not intimacy. That's why the most effective way to reignite desire with an avoidant is not to press in, but to lean into calm emotional safety. Emotional safety is not created by convincing someone that you are safe. It's created by letting them experience safety through repeated, grounded interactions. You speak softer, not louder. You slow down instead of speeding up. You stop trying to pull them toward you and instead focus on becoming the kind of energy that someone naturally feels safe walking toward at their own pace. That requires a shift. Rather than thinking, "How do I make you stay?" you're anchored in, "How do I create an environment where authentic connection feels safe?" You do that by watching your own energy the moment they start to withdraw. Instead of reacting with worry or chasing, you take a breath and stay grounded. They need to know that your emotional stability is bigger than their temporary fear. You move from proving yourself to simply being yourself. You keep your tone warm and your language clear. "I'm here and I value this connection." Instead of, "Why are you pulling away?" Safety comes from consistency. It comes from you being able to hold space for their distance without turning it into a storm. Every time you speak softly instead of arguing, listen instead of lecturing, or respect a boundary without making it personal, you show them that closeness doesn't have to mean chaos. You aren't poking at their wounds. You're giving them a calm place to heal. And that is what their heart begins to trust. Emotional safety also means you're not trying to change or fix them. You're not constantly diagnosing their behavior or labeling them as damaged. You're accepting them as they are while also protecting your own standards. You respond gently, but you're still clear about your needs. That combination of calm and clarity communicates that you're emotionally mature. And emotional maturity is one of the most attractive and disarming forces to an avoidant. The whole dynamic shifts from pushing and pulling to something more natural and balanced. And in that calm space, a desire to be close has room to grow again. When someone you care about starts pulling away, the instinctive reaction is to work even harder to prove your value to them. You might over-explain, over-give, and overthink every single word you say. While this might feel like the right thing in the moment, it actually does the opposite of what you want. It makes the relationship about their comfort instead of your worth. To light up an avoidant's heart with desire again, you have to shift the attention back to your center. You have to remember that your value is not defined by how someone reacts to you. It's defined by who you are, how you carry yourself, and how you treat yourself when someone else is unsure. That grounded sense of worth is what creates emotional stability. And emotional stability is incredibly attractive to someone whose nervous system is wired to avoid chaos and emotional overload. Centering your own worth means you consciously stop tying your peace to their presence and start anchoring it in your own habits and mindset. Choose calm over panic. Choose self-respect over self-sacrifice. When their messages become inconsistent, resist the urge to spiral. Instead, stay consistent with your routines. Nourish yourself emotionally and physically. People don't fall in love with frantic energy. They fall in love with someone who knows who they are with or without a relationship. That inner confidence sends a powerful message. I choose connection, not desperation. They begin to feel that being around you doesn't require them to regulate your emotions or manage your anxiety. You handle that yourself. That's the secure energy an avoidant is secretly drawn to, even if they can't articulate it. When you are centered in your worth, you also stop absorbing their distance as a personal failure. You are able to see that their retreat is a protection mechanism, not a measurement of your value. So instead of trying to fix it, you step back with compassion and clarity. You give them space not from a place of defeat, but from a place of confidence. You trust your own ability to stay grounded even when someone else isn't available. That is incredibly disarming to them. They expect pressure, they expect questions. But what they experience is your calm presence and the way you continue to show up for yourself. That's what begins to shift their internal narrative. They see that connection with you doesn't cost them their autonomy. It doesn't demand that they abandon themselves. It simply invites them to experience closeness in an emotionally healthy way. Centering your own worth does not mean you ignore your needs. It means you express them clearly and let the other person meet you there instead of chasing them to comply. When you communicate from a grounded place, this is what I need to feel connected. You are giving them the choice to step in rather than cornering them. This is how desire starts to rebuild. They realize this is not a dynamic built on fear or emotional dependency. It's built on two individuals who know their value and choose connection from a place of emotional strength. When someone has an avoidant attachment style, they instinctively withdraw when they sense emotional pressure. Their nervous system links closeness with the loss of control. So the moment they feel pushed, they create space. That's why inviting is so much more powerful than pressuring. Invitations respect autonomy. Pressure threatens it. An invitation sounds like, I enjoy talking with you and would love to hear more when you're ready. Pressure sounds like, why don't you ever open up to me? That one difference might seem small, but it fundamentally changes how safe the other person feels. When you invite instead of demand, you're saying, I value your pace and your comfort, and I honor your freedom. That creates a completely different emotional experience. They don't feel chased or controlled. They feel seen and respected, and that naturally pulls them toward you. Inviting also shifts the dynamic from proving yourself to simply expressing yourself. You're not trying to convince them to feel something. You are openly communicating what makes you feel connected, what makes you feel appreciated, and you leave space for them to meet you there. It's transparent, not transactional. You're saying, here's what connection looks like to me. You're welcome to step into it. And that subtle shift in energy puts the choice back in their hands. When someone chooses you freely, desire grows. When they feel cornered, desire shuts down. The truth is, avoidants are not repelled by intimacy itself. They're repelled by anything that makes intimacy feel like an obligation. So your job is not to convince them of your worth. It's to embody it, communicate clearly, and allow them to approach at their own pace. Your tone plays a huge role. Invitations are gentle, grounded, and emotionally honest. They don't come from frustration, they come from clarity. Pressure, on the other hand, often appears in the form of urgency, interrogating questions, or emotionally charged statements. For example, you never open up to me anymore. Will immediately activate a defensive response. But I feel most connected when we talk openly. I'd love to share more of that with you. Opens a doorway instead of building a wall. You're still expressing a need, but with dignity and compassion. And that tone helps their nervous system stay regulated, which is exactly what allows them to move closer. Another part of inviting is giving space after you express something important. Say what you feel, then allow silence. Let them process. Don't fill the gap with more words or repeated explanations. That silence is not empty. It's an emotional space they can actually step into. The more you lean into this kind of calm communication, the more they associate you with safety. And safety is what sparks their desire to re-engage. You're no longer someone who is trying to pull them into something they're not ready for. You're someone who understands the timing of emotional openness. That understanding is rare. And because of that, it becomes magnetic. When you're hoping to rebuild desire with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, it's easy to believe that you need a grand gesture or some dramatic emotional breakthrough to change everything. But the reality is the opposite. Avoidants don't respond to emotional intensity. They respond to emotional consistency. It's the small, stable actions repeated over time that slowly retrain their nervous system to associate connection with calm instead of danger. A peaceful tone of voice when they walk through the door does more than a long emotional monologue. A simple, thank you for showing up, matters more than explaining for the fifth time how much you care. These small actions seem insignificant when you desperately want change, but they are actually the foundation of creating safety. Each calm interaction becomes a data point for their brain. Connection didn't cause conflict. Vulnerability didn't lead to judgment. Being present didn't result in suffocation. Their nervous system learns through experience, not logic. You might tell them 100 times that they're safe with you, but what matters is how they feel in the tiny, everyday moments. So ask yourself, do I speak with gentleness when we have a disagreement? Do I listen without interrupting? Do I respect their need to step away without personalizing it? Do I show appreciation when they make any effort to connect? These may seem like simple behaviors, but for someone who is used to emotional volatility, they are deeply impactful. It's also important to understand that consistency is not just about them. It's about you maintaining your emotional balance. If on Monday you're calm and supportive, but by Wednesday you're resentful and frustrated because they're still distant, they feel that shift. And that inconsistency confirms their belief that closeness isn't stable. Emotional consistency means you remain steady even when they fluctuate. You keep your tone warm even if they're short. You express your needs clearly even when you fear they won't meet them. You continue to respond with patience even when they need space. That doesn't mean silencing yourself or tolerating disrespect. It simply means your reactions don't swing back and forth based on their level of engagement. The beauty of small, consistent actions is that they also strengthen your emotional foundation. You begin to see that you don't need to perform love. You just need to live it. You find peace in knowing that real intimacy is built one calm moment at a time. And eventually, the avoidant starts to lean in, often in subtle ways. They'll initiate a longer conversation. They'll linger a little longer in your presence. They'll ask how you are feeling without being prompted. These are small things too, but they are signs of trust growing. That trust is what creates the space for desire to naturally return, not because you forced it, but because you modeled safety over and over until their heart felt ready to respond. Desire is often misunderstood as something that has to be sparked by external stimulation or dramatic effort. But when it comes to someone with an avoidant pattern, desire returns when they feel inspired, not pressured. Inspiration comes from the energy you carry. It's in the tone of your voice, the way you carry yourself, the way you maintain your own joy and confidence regardless of their emotional fluctuations. When you embody calm confidence, you signal that closeness with you is a choice, not a demand. That subtle energy shift is powerful. It makes connection feel like an opportunity they want to move toward rather than something they have to do. And the more secure and grounded you become, the more attractive that energy becomes to someone who subconsciously fears emotional chaos. Avoidants are highly sensitive to emotional tone. They immediately pick up on whether you are anxious, resentful, or centered. If your energy feels heavy and needy, they instinctively pull away to protect themselves. But if your energy feels light, composed, and authentic, they feel safe enough to move closer. Think about how different it feels to be around someone who is genuinely secure in themselves. Their presence creates space. They don't rush or beg or force. They simply are, and that being invites you in. That's the key to inspiring desire again. You show them what emotional peace looks like in real time. You laugh. You pursue your hobbies. You stay present in the moment. You hold boundaries without drama. Suddenly, connection doesn't look like a threat to their independence. It looks like something that enhances it. Inspiring desire also means celebrating moments of connection, no matter how small. When they share something personal, respond with warmth and appreciation, not interrogation. When they make time for you, enjoy it instead of looking for reassurance about the future. That kind of positive reinforcement is powerful. It teaches their heart that emotional closeness leads to positive experiences, not criticism or pressure. And over time, that experience builds an emotional memory bank that redefines their idea of intimacy. They no longer associate it with losing control or being overwhelmed. They start to associate it with feeling seen and respected. That reframe is what opens the door for desire to resurface naturally. The most important part of inspiring desire is remembering that your worth is never on trial. You're not trying to earn their affection. You're simply showing up as your best self and allowing them to meet you there. You speak clearly about what you need. You maintain standards rooted in self-respect. You stay grounded even when they struggle. That unwavering energy becomes magnetic over time because it offers something rare. Love that isn't chaotic, heavy, or controlling. Love that is calm and deeply rooted. That kind of love doesn't need to chase. It shines. And the brighter it shines, the more it draws in the heart that once felt afraid to open. In the end, reigniting desire in an avoidant heart is not about changing who you are or forcing someone to feel something. It's about becoming a steady, grounded, emotionally safe presence that naturally invites connection. When you lead with calm confidence, respect their pace, and consistently show up in a way that reflects your own worth, their heart slowly remembers that love doesn't have to hurt or overwhelm. It can be gentle, inspiring, and deeply secure. Thank you for listening and for choosing to grow into the kind of person who loves with strength, patience, and grace. You are already creating the kind of love that lasts.